Hello. So, today, right now, we're going to do a look at the window and the window manager. I've just been, like the last 1.5 hours or something, I've been completely reworking the UI once again. That's pretty funny. Um, this is, I guess, like the fifth approach for the UI in total, I guess. And it's pretty annoying, right, on one side, but on the other side, it's just pretty hard to get right. Well, I guess, that I'm satisfied with the approach. Um, the core thing, or like the core class, right, the base class is the UI object. The whole inspiration for this came actually from YouTube I watched. It's I don't know, it's like a weird short names like H2D or something. It's like a low level game dev. It's like pretty cool videos about making Minecraft in a few days or like a week and stuff. But yeah, I mean, he once showed his source code a bit, only briefly, and it was like UI object class, and obviously this is many iterations later. It's nothing to do with what he showed pretty much, but I don't know. Just the basic approach of like a UI object, that you have a object-oriented UI system, right? Because I guess I did think about like using components, right? You could like there's a lot of couple of use cases for components you don't think about, right? Like you have the ECS for like game entities, but you can use it for like items, right? Like RPG items, like in World of Warcraft or Diablo, where like items have like first of all like stats, like an attribute component, and like effects, like special effects, like on hit effects, or like on move effects, right? Stuff. So these could all be individual components, and then you have like systems that iterate on them. And then I guess you could have like UI, right? You could have like a scaling component and like hitbox component, um, and stuff, and then like a visibility component. That's right. You can. I don't know. I mean, I thought about it. I didn't want to commit to it because I already had a lot of the, these things planned, and it's it's not as intuitive as the object-oriented approach I'm doing here. I think, right? And I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I mean, I will not be explaining the whole thing pretty much. For now, right? You just have a basic UI object that has it has dimensions which are saved and by percentages, right? So you can scale to different dimensions. And what we're doing right now is just the window class and the window manager, which will also be the title of this video, the window manager 1. So one of the problems why I did so many iterations and why I am somewhat confident that this is the last is that I found something out, right? When you look at games like World of Warcraft, for example. I mean, I'm bringing it up again and again, right? But it's just like a cesspool of ideas and interesting stuff, right? But yeah, when you, for example, like take a look at that game, you have a lot of UI elements. Maybe I can pull up a screenshot. So yeah, like here, right? Um, maybe something with like so yeah, here. Um, you have like multiple things, right? You have the minimap going on, you have like these buff icons, but you also have these windows, right? And these are two, first of all, two distinctions that I didn't make previously, right? Previously I thought of UI objects as kind of one thing, um, and I tried to kind of group them all into the same category. And what happened is that I made it too like general, right? And I tried to give everything as much like functionality as possible, but even if it doesn't need it, right? So the core difference that I thought about, which kind of allowed me to design it the way it is right now, is that you have these elements kind of in the background, and they don't move in the layer, right? Because in the UI you're gonna have layers. For example, if you take um, this inventory window, like the bag window here, you can move it over like the hotbar, and then it's in front, right? But what happens if you move the bag over the bank window on the left here? Then some windows has to be in the front and some has to be in the background. And so this kind of layering was something that was very central to the first approaches. And I tried to give every object in the scene a layer, right? Which then kind of makes it more complicated for the user. So then I tried to like make it easy for the user by taking over like the rendering. But at the same time, if the more you do for the user as a library, the less kind of control the user has, right? Or like it gets very implicit that many things happen without you, the developer, being able to like control them. And this was also like always a breaking point for the past interfaces, that I just try to do kind of too much for the developer in a way that it's just not clear what happens. So if the developer wants to do like a niche case, then it can't do it, and there's a lot of limitations I oppose, right? Because if I do certain things for the developer, I just have to say, okay, this is gonna function this way, right? There's just some things that I'm just gonna, a few conditions that I oppose up front. Yeah, and so now what I've changed is that I've just kind of separated it, right? I made UI object itself doesn't know of any layers, right? The UI object is kind of just there, and it's rendered explicitly, right? So the user has to call .draw on it, and then it's rendered. And the user can control the layer, obviously, right? He can call the draw in a certain order, but it's all manually, right? And because you're not really supposed to get into big layering things with like these elements, right? The minimap's always gonna be in the top right, and nothing else other than a window, right, is never gonna be in front of it. So this is where we kind of get to the window path right now. So yeah, so now we come to the window, and for the window I do wanna take away the responsibility for the developer to manage the layers, right? I'm gonna do that as a library, and the developer can just say, okay, move this window to the layer above, or like even relative, right? Like move this window in front of the other window. And then the window manager has like a central draw method, it just draws all the windows that are registered. And the developer doesn't have to worry about calling the draw in the right order. And yeah, and there's also a couple other things I can do for the developer when I know all the windows, right? For example, if I move this back window to the left here, above the back window, then for example, so if two windows on top of each other, I shouldn't be able to click on the window behind, right? And yeah, this would also be something that the developer has to do on their own then, right? To detect when a window is uh, yeah like yeah, when it's like hidden behind another window. Yeah, so this is something I can do. I can, for example, also determine like the currently hovered window and yeah, stuff like this. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, what I've done here is, if you know C-line, right, usually there's like a little sign there if the method is implemented. So I've actually just wrote everything down, like in these both classes, just defined the interface, but none of these methods are implemented yet, right? So it's gonna be a bit of work here. The UI object, and from this the UI container, these are already implemented, and kind of tested them, and I like them. I like how they work, but right, that's not for this video. Yeah, so we currently only have the pure interface, and the best way to develop actually and to test things is always to like make a concrete use case. And I don't know, I'm still not really I'm not still not really used to this workflow, right? I mean, I guess technically it's called like test-driven development, right? Or like at least it's kind of similar to that, where you write the test case up front and then you write the method to fit the test case, right? Because then you have a definition of what it means for the method to be correct. And if you do it the other way around, if you write the method, you don't know if the method is correct or not. And while programming it, you kind of have no direction where to go, right? Like, is it correct? Do I have to make it more correct, or is it wrong? Or yeah. So yeah, we're making a concrete example here, which I've in the last videos I started to kind of flesh out this examples folder. So there's like multiple categories of examples, like demos, which are like projects, small projects that like focus on one thing. Full on games, right? Which is everything like their own project, resources, playable games, and then just single headers, which showcase, which are meant to be included in an empty project and that showcase a specific functionality. Yeah, this one I just called multiple windows, and it's empty. Yeah, so I'm already switched to the main project here, as opposed to example. And yeah, we see on the top the file currently does not belong to anything. So we include the header here. So that gets picked up by by the ID. So then we make a test. So right, so yeah, I've kind of been cheating a bit, alright, like I've have this folder here, which is I guess more tests that I've meant for development. And then this is the example. So yeah, what I did is I named every. So when using magique, you have to make it like your game class, right? That inherits from the game class, and I just called them all test, right? So I can just include whatever header I want, and I just make the game and then I run it, right? But I guess technically I did the same thing for these, right? But technically I shouldn't call them test with the example, rather, right? The thing is, it's convenient for me, right? Because I can just include them then. Yeah, so this one's finished. Actually, the only one that's finished right now. Yeah, but I'll worry about this something else. So we have game, we can make it final. Then we include the game class, core game. We have to do the using namespace magique, which is officially supported and recommended. What's the problem here? I mean, this should work, no? Yeah, okay, I thought so. Yeah, okay, so we have a game class. We want to I guess on loading finish, we don't have anything on startup. We're not using any resources here. And then on take game, and we want to draw something, so draw game. Yes, in this example, what I'm gonna do is just make multiple windows. I'm gonna just get my header here. Multiple windows example. And yeah, as I said, I'm gonna probably rename this and then figure out the solution. I guess namespace down here. This example show cases how multiple windows. Yes, idea is just have multiple windows that Jesus. That you can move around and change the layer. Yeah, to manage multiple windows, move. Specifically, give it the double tab, which is 4 spaces. Move them around. I guess create them, add window buttons, move them around, and change the layer. Okay, yeah, we'll see, maybe expand it later on, but that's the plan for now. Closed. Rather show and item. Right, which makes me think I need a callback. Okay, it's not the callback. Yeah, so just thought about my old project where I had windows which I will be copying over some code probably later on when implementing a window. But yeah, I had a callback or like an event method on open and on close, right? You obviously want that. And I had an RPG style game where, for example, where you want to play a sound when you open the bag, right? So like you open the talent window and you can check if the user, like the characters, unspent talent points and like show pop up and stuff. So I definitely need it. The problem is right now I'm thinking the window as I made it here, and I did this deliberately, but doesn't know anything about visibility. And actually the UI object itself also doesn't know about visibility. This is actually right, I have to think about it. Yeah, but this is only if it was rendered last tick, but it's something else. So it doesn't have a notion of being visible or invisible, right? I kind of wanted this to only be the window manager, right? Because you control visibility by the UI object by just not drawing it, right? If you draw it, it's drawn this tick, And each ticket needs to be, you need to call draw, and then it's drawn, right? You can of course introduce the visibility yourself, but yeah, this is kind of where the window manager comes in. Yeah, so this is a problem because now I just can't just add like an on close method, right? It's like virtual, so it's like overrideable, like so when you make a subclass. Yeah, because it makes no sense, right? Because there's no notion of it being closed or open, which comes in here. The problem here is that I have many windows, so it kind of gets complicated. I would have to like make like callback here or something. This is annoying. With how I set it up, I almost have to like make it inside the window. Actually, don't need this. Yeah, just here real quick. Same with the other controls. I mean, currently I left a button. Include magique UI. I left the button, but I want to provide, like with the button, I made it even more. I want to the button's easier, right? But I want to provide default visuals and that you can just override. For example, the button really only has 3 states, right? It's idle, hovered, and clicked. And with this, I can just override this button class and implement these 3 methods and have my completely own button, right? And yeah, I mean, I don't know, I find this pretty easy and straightforward to work with. But yeah, but for the window, you can't make it this like that easy, right? Because there's just more things to it, right? Like specifically, maybe just to quickly touch on that. First of all, there's like different sections, right? You have like the top bar, which is what I call it, and like the body. And then I've struggled a bit, like a couple iterations on like the window buttons, right? Because like these on the top left. I mean, on Windows they're on top right, right? On Mac they're top left, and but maybe in a game you don't need like the minimize button or like this button here, right? You might only want to close it. So the window buttons is something that's kind of yeah, dynamic and kind of specific, or like you want to have control over it. So I didn't want to make it statically, right? I didn't want to just oppose on a developer. There's gonna be a close button, and you can't do anything about it. Or there's gonna be 3 buttons, or not even that the button is on top right, right? Maybe you want to have a button on the top left, or whatever. Maybe you want your own buttons that are actually specific to your game, right? Maybe you have a window, you can pin a window, right? You need your own buttons, and you want your own visuals for your buttons as well, right? Yeah, and so I kind of decided on this, but it's, I don't know, it still looks a bit complicated, right? You like add a button, it's gonna be down here, but that's pretty straightforward, right? It's just gonna be a UI object, and you can draw it and update it, and yeah, nothing crazy. And yeah, add the button, you have to give it a name. Yeah, which, yeah, the problem is just always with these. When you give the developer option to like add things, right, the developer needs to be able to retrieve it again, and you kind of need an identifier for the button. And the problem is that it's completely user controlled, so I can't just like use an enum, right? Because the enum, for one, I can like predefine the enum, but then it doesn't that then doesn't capture all use cases that the user could have, right? then, or if I just declare the enum and the user has to implement it, that's just some extra work, some extra complexity that I don't want. So yeah, I mean, a name is always select strings, always a pretty straightforward thing to do, really. And then next, like these are the two main positions, two, so this is the same, right? And then there's like two ways I thought about how you want to position them. So one is the anchor point, right? It's pretty straightforward. For example, anchor position is just like top left, mid left. There's even a nice description in MAT, right? Top left, top center, top right, mid center, middle right, bottom right. So for example, if you want to have an X, you could just position as top right, and it's done. But then if you want to have, for example, these three buttons, you can add the first one and anchor it to the top right. Then you can add a second button with the second method here and make it relative to the first button, which you reference the button by name, right? And then say direction left. Wait, I didn't document the direction. Anyway, yeah, aligns. So this is like already implemented from the UI object. So so this method is just gonna use this align method. It's already implemented. So yeah, see the direction enum from my definition. Yeah, so I guess you can't do that yet, but it's pretty straightforward, right? Left, I guess I can even just make it one. When used for line and the object in the direction the object. So what actually happens is if like this is your object, right, and you want to position something else, left means I start by the top left of the object and I subtract the width of my object, right? And then so I get a new top left where my object fits in really nice, and then it's to the left. Yeah, but it's always about finding a good documentation that's like a one-liner. It needs to be condensed. So yeah, writing good documentation is not that easy, and sometimes I come across some things and I just iterate on the line, right? Because a lot of the times you're like space constrained, right? You want to make the line as short as possible or make it fit in one line, so you have to kind of iterate on the words and condense the information they contain. Yeah, I don't need to identify anymore. So the object left object moved left its width. Check this to the right, moved right, this moved left from the original buttons. Oh yeah, I guess use this shorter one here. Object is moved right from the object is moved right from object ends by its width. Object is moved object height. And then I guess it's just the same object is moved down where the anchor object ends. I guess that's precise. I don't know. I guess it should be enough to like understand that it's not rocket science in the end. Relative to an existing button. Yeah. Turns that button. I give a name. Failure returns does not exist. Yep. Okay, let's actually implement some things. Okay. So I wanna create some windows. I wanna give them different colors. They can differentiate them. Multiple windows. Because otherwise it's the exact same clue card. Yeah, I need to create my own window classes. So include UI controls window. Then I extract blue window. Final window. Just duplicate this, make a red window. And I'm gonna make a purple window. And a green one. Okay. So then I wanna override the draw method on draw. Yeah, that's not for this video right now. But this is just where you control how the object is drawn. Right. So you get past the bounds. So then you might ask yourself, okay, what am I getting past here? Then you click on the header and look, okay. Okay, and it's not, it's not documented what you get past here. So why do I get something? It's unused. Okay. That's annoying. Actually, if macro for that, and I know the pragma, the warning pragma. Then the other unignore warning. It's a very bright naming. Can I already use that? Yeah, I already used it here as well, so I included the macro header. Yeah, warning 4100 is just unused parameter. So I want to avoid compiler warnings. Alright. Yeah, so it gets past the complete bounds. Yeah, the problem is You know, usually with the eye object, you only have this get bounce, which just returns the box. In my case, all the eye objects are rectangles, right? And I'm not gonna bother with different shapes, to be fair. I'm just not gonna do that. And yeah, so, but the window has like two more, right, according to the sections here. There's like a top, a height you can specify. If you don't, it's just 10% of the height. And so there's some kind of, some ambiguity going on here, because it could be either one of the three. Or like anyone. The problem is like what do I get from passing the gets past the total bounds. I don't want to start a new line here, but I can't add it anywhere. It's annoying. I guess I can just bounce total bounds of the object to get bounds. I guess I just make it like this. Oops. Okay. So I guess this makes it clear. So I just want to draw a rectangle pro, because I'm a pro. Actually not, I'm not a pro. I'm a rec. So now, right, and that's actually something I wanted. Previously I had some event methods where you could like, same with the button, right, like draw the body and draw the top bar. But right now I have all three, right? I get the total bounds, and I can get console top bar ist gleich equals top bar. And I can do whatever I want. For example, because some layouts you might wanna like draw something in the background, so like the header and the body don't look disconnected or whatever. You wanna have like a design that just goes through both, right? You can't just split them up. Yeah, so in my case, I'm just gonna split it up, I guess. I'm just gonna make this. I mean, I copied something over. Yeah, this was the previous in the public interface, right? You can override this and draw the body. And then, yeah, and I'm just gonna do this. Yeah, when this is gonna be another problem. Yeah, but yeah, not for now. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, so I'm gonna draw the body like this. Then I want to draw the top like Then if just a T collision point rec mouse and then it's done. For now, right, this is gonna change, but yeah, I'm gonna explain that later. Hint. It does have something to do with the window manager, what I explained earlier. Okay. So, yeah, this should be fine. And I'm actually gonna, I guess... I guess I'm gonna make it a method, right? Okay. I guess I could actually just... yeah. I guess I need a color, actually. Yeah. Color. And... just gonna be the body. Okay. What's light gray? Dark gray. Damn. It's dark. Wait, sorry. The idle one. Okay. So I can then draw a window. I'll do see with this and then blue. Call it on draw here with red. And then call it here with purple. And then once more with green. Okay, format it nicely. Okay, now so I have my windows then. Here I get my window manager, my W manager. Window manager. So, okay, it seems to have some problems with my W manager for the completion. So now I can add window. Okay, now it's done. I can make a new blue window. Right, and do I already have the constructor for the window? I do. Why does it not show me the constructor? Probably because it's not implemented yet, but so I can just like get random float between like so like 500. Height is gonna be a bit higher, so it's not square. Don't need the namespace. I mean, this is so long. Okay, why does this not work? Right, because my overridden classes. No constructors. This is very annoying. Do I really need this? Man. This is extremely annoying. So top height is just gonna be static. 50. Trying to specify it as a parameter. Interesting. Yeah, so I guess this is what's going. Guess this is what I need. Damn. Talking about being verbose. But I like it. You know, usually it's, I don't know, I mean, I shouldn't get into it, but you know, I find our value explicitness higher than verbosity, right? So now it should work. X, Y, W, H. Right, but now I need a second parameter, so I can make a I can make a window point. So I can create the window separately. But then I add a new window with strict. So I add a window with a name, right? This is what I call blue window. And then it's just gonna be the same of this. Okay, yeah, now I should probably. Why doesn't it auto format actually? Just manually copy it. Okay, new red, purple, green. Okay, so now I have my windows. They actually update it automatically. That's something, so all UI objects are reference tracked internally in the constructor, right? So going to here. There's something in with my UI that my UI did. So register object, and this just puts it into a vector here. Objects and one separate for containers, because I want to give a strong guarantee here that all containers are updated first, right? And this is just something that the developer can plan around. So yeah, maybe for example, if you have like a container, like a window, what you're doing right now, and you want to align all all your children, like all the things inside the window, you can do that inside the container. And then when it comes to the update method of the child, you know that it's already positioned, right? And you don't have to position it again or whatever. Or you just you know guaranteed that it will have that the reposition has happened when you get to the point where it comes to your own update method. Yeah, it's just important to like give those guarantees, because if I if I don't write this right, it's kind of up to, I don't know, it's up in the air how what gets added first, and it's just all over the place, right? So it's always good to structure everything and just describe. For example, I'm doing the same kind of here. I mean, I kind of simplified it now, but just kind of a little bit like called after the internal update tick. Oh yeah, and also the scripting methods, right? Scripting, where for example, call once at the beginning of the tick, called once after all components have been added. This is also, for example, the create method, right? If I like called once, that's fine, but then I don't know, okay, have all the components already been added, right? Only a few do I have to check if a component exists or not, right? And which is always nice to think about these edge cases and then explicitly define them. Think about them. Just makes life easier for the developer. Okay. So then to our windows, and now it would already work if everything would be implemented, which it isn't. I don't know if I can do that today. So now we can just get the raw methods. Get the window manager, and by the way, this is just basically a namespace, right? I obviously could just get rid of the class, because this class has nothing, it's just an empty class. But then all these methods would be in the public in a global namespace, and then I would kind of have to change the naming, and the global namespace would be kind of polluted. And yeah, like this, it's just everything just has its order, right? It's cleaned up in its own corner. I could make it a namespace, but I don't know, it's just too indirect, really, right? You could just then use like a using namespace or whatever, and the cool thing is with the object, like I can give it my own name. I can also cache it and reuse it. Yeah, and with the namespace, I would kind of have to either like use it each time. I could also make it like these static methods, right? Because in the end, they're gonna be like static methods, right? Like in the header. And in the window manager implementation, all the data is just gonna be local to this translation unit, right? It's just gonna be like yeah, in here. Just gonna be exactly this, right? Like just data floating around, and then I'm gonna like implement these methods, right, with this data. So they are pretty much just static, and I'm gonna get this warning for all the methods. Right, but I just don't want to do that, because I don't know, it's just really straightforward and just makes sense and feels intuitive to use like that. I don't know, I feel like this is kind of the best solution, the best way for through all the worlds. Right, and then I can just say draw here. And this is something that's explicit, because then the user can decide where, like in which layer to draw. For example, the user can have a couple here, a couple UI objects, and a couple here. And then all the windows live here. There is one problem, is that nothing can live in between the windows, right? So the windows are always gonna be in their own kind of layer, right? You can't just draw a few windows, then something, and then the rest of the windows. At least not now, and also probably not in the future, because it would be too complicated. But again, right, if you go back to the screenshot from earlier, there shouldn't be a lot of use cases, right? Like, after these initial, can open it again. After these, hello. Yeah, like after these initial kind of elements that are right above the game, you pretty much don't have anything else than windows on top. Yeah, only like maybe full scenes, right? Like full on, maybe like a cutscene that's just on top, for like a settings menu, like a pause menu, right? But this is then gonna be like just straight on top. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, this should already work. If it is implemented. If I try to run it now, I'm just gonna get a lot of these. Yeah, I shouldn't get this actually. But yeah, this is just an implementation problem. Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't know, that's it for now. I'm gonna implement it later. Just a quick little, yeah, kind of showcase and explanation of all the one mentioning at the new AI system approach, which, you know, again had many iterations. Like if I'm actually specific, it was like 4. Yeah, and I'm talking, right? I'm talking like implementing this UI object header again and again with like different like these different paradigms even. And I like it where it is. Right now I can show like this other thing, like the Wizard Quest game example, which works. I guess it doesn't work because this constructor is wrong. Let's fix this. Yeah, it's just this one. Variable that are removed. Yeah, okay, now I already get a few unresolved symbols, but it's only this one. Right. Yeah, so yeah, what we're looking at is this down here, the hotbar basically, right? I've made it a bit so you basically have the containing hotbar, which yeah exactly fits, and then your individual slots. And they actually used the directions here that I showed earlier. So you have to play a hotbar, which so now yeah, just is like a width of like all the slot size, the count, the slot count times the size. So it exactly has the same dimensions as all the slots. Yeah, and then so to draw it, to draw the complete hotbar, first draw the bounds, which is like the big thing, and then you iterate through the children, you get the children, and then you align the first children on the top left here, right? The thing is, it scales really nicely, right? It's the scaling mode is keep ratio. So the ratio of the, for example, the squares still squares, right, after you scale it. What this means that it doesn't scale with both dimensions, it only scales with the height, right? So if I make this pretty far, like pretty wide, I can tell you it's pretty wide. I have 2 monitors here and it goes across both. So this is like what, like 4,000 pixels wide, right? And still the same size, but if I make it like higher a bit, it grows because it keeps the ratio. And yeah, and the whole hotbar itself is anchored here to the bottom center, which, you know, it always also automatically scales with the current window. Yeah, this is pretty nice, right? So that this all works, and I mean, not only that it works, but that it has like an expressive and procedural interface, right, where you can describe the relationship between the objects, kind of, yeah, just structured way. Like this, I kind of like it, right? You aligned the first object after the hotbar itself, and then you align the other slots, the hotbar slot, the individual squares, align them one after each other, right? So I align the second one after the first, and then the third one after the second, and just then to the right of each other, and I can go on and on and on. And it's like a chain of references where the layout, where the position of one is kind of determined by the first, right? And it always goes back, and yeah, and that's pretty nice. Okay, yeah, I guess that's it for now. I'm gonna implement it tomorrow. I guess I can record that as well. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. There's gonna be this one more thing down here which I spoke of earlier. The is Harvard and stuff. It's gonna be a little challenge. But yeah. Thanks for watching it, and I'll see you tomorrow in the implementation. Bye bye.